The Arizona Center for the Book presents Southwest Book Chats, a series of conversations about selected titles from the Pima County Public Library's Southwest Books of the Year. Join us as we discuss 6 books that address the challenges and the triumphs of our communities. We will explore, celebrate, and share stories that make Arizona's literary landscape one of the richest in the country. This project is supported by the Arizona State Library, Archives and Public Records, a division of the Arizona Secretary of State, with federal funds from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Remembering by Xelena Gonzalez and Adriana M. Garcia is featured in the Pima County Public Library's 2024 edition of Southwest Books of the Year. Reviewer Mary Margaret Mercado writes, "How do you catch a memory of a departed friend? A child's loving remembrance is tenderly captured by Gonzalez's lyrical narrative. And in the wind I hear your reply, like an echo in my heart. Memory of days past flow effortlessly through the warm images. Tokens of affection colorfully intertwine with the mourning family's preparations. Such a gentle exploration of love and grief is only made more poignant by Garcia's bittersweet and evocative illustrations." Esperanza Cooper and Keertana Konkimalla served on the Pima County Public Library's Youth Health Action Team and developed projects that supported teen mental health. Is an award-winning writer and computer scientist. Keertana loves everything about biology and hopes to pursue a career in medicine. They join librarian John Muñoz in a conversation about grief, memory, and staying connected to the people and creatures who enrich our lives. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're here with and Keertana, and we're analyzing the book Remembering by Gonzalez and Garcia. What do you remember about the book, Keertana? What stood out the most to you after having read it?
Well, I like the approach of obviously the pet was a loved one, and how children perceive the death of a loved one concerning the dog, which is, as you said earlier, it was the first death that most children experience is the death of a pet. In this case, my favorite part both was I loved how all the picture frames, the dog wasn't, or like the family, they weren't just in the picture frame, but they were like kind of jumping out of the picture frame, really showing how like the memories come to life.
I love that too. I actually, like, in preparation to this, I sent a list of questions to the illustrator. And that was one of the things I asked about. And she said that to her, it was like saying that these memories are bigger and take up space. And for her, it's like the memories are alive. And I think that's so great because like pictures are like memories made physical. So like, you know, a passed away pet coming out of it, it's a lot like
Yeah.
still alive.
And I think a reason she didn't specify like anything about the picture frame was because like it was up to the reader's interpretation, like how the young child would like look at the picture and be like, it's like how she remembers the pet, not like a picture can just it's like it can speak 1,000 words, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I like that. I guess for me, probably my favorite part was just like how vivid the illustrations were. I felt like all the colors were like so powerful and poppy. Um, I also really liked like how relatable it was. Because for me, like I did a lot of those things. Like when my pet died when I was in I think it was kindergarten, my dog Piper died. And I remember like listening to the wind and like putting my hand on glass windows, and imagining Piper was there. And I think this book like is really easy to like step into the main character.
yeah, especially for young children, with the book being so relatable, it's easier for a child to like have someone to relate to for their grief, and it makes it somewhat easier to manage, but there's a lot of pain when it comes to losing a loved one. So much emotion that a child has to bear, and it can get very troubling at some point. So that's why I love this book a lot. Like for young kids, it's so vivid and it's like not a lot of words. It's more like pictures speak louder.
Did you notice any symbolism in the book running throughout the pages?
Yeah, there is a lot. I mean, like Keertana said, the dogs coming out of the photos. I think also, I mean, like, so here, I actually have a copy of the book. I'll open it up because I want to show like one of the pages, but like when she's listening to the wind for her dog. I don't know, Sue won't cooperate, but okay. It's not gonna cooperate, but in the wind, there's like little dog paw prints. Like when she's like listening for the dog, her pet who passed away. I think that's really beautiful symbolism. Yeah, what about you?
I really loved, I'll try to show the picture, but I really love like the flowers and everything. Yeah, I don't think that's cooperating, but there's get the book, then you can see like all the flowers and the vivid descriptions and everything. Just like the little things to remember her dog.
Mhm. Oh, another thing that I really liked that's kind of symbolism is that like throughout the book, I feel like it's very intentional, like how I guess like a blank slate the main character and the dog are. I feel like the main character is like very gender ambiguous, like makes it very easy for any child to like see themselves in the um like child. Also the dog, like there is a name on the collar, but it's only like legible when it's not actually being worn by the dog. And it's only like legible, it's Simon is on the dog from the illustrator's passed away pet. But it's only like in the very first like illustration, like before the words even start. So I think that's really cool. Um, another thing I really liked about the book was like how like candid and authentic it was because like the illustrator like she took all the like every single one of her pictures it seems like is based off of like a real photo like that she took with she talks about like getting a family of her friends like or a family which she's a friend of to like pose for her. Apparently the dog in the book is based off of her current dog, but it's like also her passed away dog at the same time, which I think is really interesting.
I was noticing that they mentioned that there is some symbolism in the nature of the elements of nature, the four: earth, water, fire, and air, and you see those happening throughout the book. What sort of ceremonies do you remember having done with your dog when he passed away so many years ago, Tay?
Um, okay, so at the time I knew nothing of like Dia de los Muertos, but me and my sister, we actually did end up putting together like kind of an ofrenda. We carved her name out onto like a piece of shale. It's like a little tombstone type thing. We gave her like flowers. I remember this was like a really big deal for me at the time that I like gave her like my favorite toy car, to play with when she would get bored or whatever. But yeah, I think that's pretty much how I processed it. Also just like yeah, trying to imagine her being with me. I know that I also like called upon her spirit for doing menial tasks, like help me out with my homework. What's 2 plus 2, stuff like that.
Keertana, do you have
Yeah,
any similar
yeah,
experiences?
yeah. I I don't have any similar experiences. I don't have any pets, but I love what you said today because I think just like the menial tasks, like every day you just get to remember a special part of your loved one because it's like kind of true. They never leave you. Like sure, like I guess they leave the earth, they leave their body, but like they don't leave like your memories, they don't leave your heart at some point. And I think just like focusing on like at some point she talks about the rain, like that's like
Mhm.
that's I guess like weather is just like it'll just like little things will just like remind you like if I had a loved one, like oh that's her favorite flowers or something like that.
They mentioned the wind. I suppose that's symbolic of the
Mm-hmm.
air. And in the wind, I hear your reply like an echo in my heart. And then the next page features wind and rain. Um, and then the girl walks on the trail alone without her beloved puppy and brings home some of the earth also to her ofrenda, which is lit up with candles for the fire.
Yeah, I think the memories can be painful at first when you first lose a loved one, but sooner or later, like you learn to love those memories because they were like important parts of your life, and they were like her memories seem so beautiful to her, and I think it really shows how she deals with her grief as like a small child, and this could be like her first time losing someone she loves, so it's so hard to deal with. So. I love how she deals with it. It just gives you like ideas, like I guess, like or related to your life.
That's a really nice way of putting it.
Yes, they say that it is helpful for someone, a child particularly, to speak to someone in a and to receive uh, a conversation from them that's sympathetic and therapeutic to help that child grieve and to move on.
And
So
just like not feel alone. Like they're not alone through the process of grieving.
Yeah, this is actually another thing that I kind of asked the illustrator about, and she said that like words and actions have meaning, and just like being there, listening and holding hands when a friend or family member like is good, like is having feelings goes a long way. A hug, a smile, a nod of understanding helps us all. And I think that's like so like perfect. Just the
And
way she,
powerful.
yeah. I think that these two like they make such like a great combination writing these books. They have like a bunch of books together. Every like their writing and illustration, they just like they perfectly complement each other, I feel. I read a lot of their other books as well. Their first one has like such beautiful illustrations, and it's also kind of about death, like the cyclical nature of life and death. Another thing that I love about their books is how like it provides like a lot of representation for like, you know, Hispanic and like Mexican children. When like on a blog post, the author she wrote about how like when her like little girl was a toddler, all her favorite books had Black main characters. And when she asked her little girl like why she loved these books so much, she said because they're brown like me, and held her little arm up to the book to like show. But the author realized that the reason why like these are all Black main characters and not like Native American and Mexican, Hispanic main characters is because there just weren't any books for her daughter to love like that. So I think it's really cool that she decided to change that. And actually, on her first book, it's the daughter who is like on the cover.
Yeah, that's so true. I think that's another thing with there was like a question saying how this book relates to the Arizona literacy or literary tradition. And that was one of the things. Arizona is like home to so many different races, genders, and like people of all different walks. And we're so close to the Mexican border, so we have so much Spanish. We have a really big Latino community, and we have a really big like indigenous community too, with like the Tohono tribes and everyone. And I think this is the book, like you said, the girl is so like ambiguous and so is the dog that it's so relatable to people of all walks and all life. And I think that's one of the reasons the book is so powerful.
Yeah. You know, I wish I had it when I was growing up because like Dia de los Muertos is like such a big deal in like Tucson and Arizona. But like there was really isn't any like pop culture or anything like that like about it. Apart from I only know this book and Coco. That's like all I can think of about the tradition. And I guess I didn't really realize it before like going into this conversation, but yeah, it's really beautiful. How it's just more stuff needs to be added, I guess.
Yeah, I'm so glad moving forward we have authors from like we have Asian American authors, Latino authors. We have all types of authors nowadays that it's so easy for kids. It's easier, not easy yet, but we're getting there. It's easier to find books that are like more relatable to your life because all cultures are different in that way.
I love that.
many a librarian would agree with you. The publishers, it's well known in library land that the books that are being published for young people do not match up. You've got a country with 12.5% of its citizens identifying as Black, but in the publishing world, there's only like 5 or 4% of those characters appearing in print. Where do you think that trend will take us? Do you think we're going to see more and more as the years go on?
I think we're moving up, so more and more diversity, which is like really good, but we're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I can find more books from Asian American authors. And also it's just like learning about different cultures and diversity. It's just so cool. And I don't know, it's just so many stories that have to be spoken.
I agree. I think it's really important for everyone to have like the safety and space to practice their own traditions. but it's also important for everyone to like, be able to share traditions and help each other out. So I think like more representation can only help all of us, really.
Yeah, I think moving forward as like a generation, like we need to accept everyone, and a great way to do that is reading books. It's just a way of telling your own story, and it's like at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all trying to live our lives, be better people. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you come from, or I guess it kind of matters. Like, yeah, I mean, it does matter in today's world, but we're going to like a place where it shouldn't matter because we're all human at the end of the day. And so books like this, and there are like so many other authors and so many other books that really show really the importance of diversity. Because I mean, we're not all the same, but we're all human and we're all trying.
I think I also want to talk about like the use of like creativity to process grief. This book is a great example of that because like when writing it, the author had just gone through the loss of her cat. And then she gave it to her illustrator friend, who just lost her dog. So they were both using this book as a way to process the grief of losing a loved one, like a furry friend, as they like to say in the like in their little sections. I can really identify with that. I have turned to writing about like the loss of my great grandmother when she died during the pandemic, and I found that it was so healing to be able to use like writing as an outlet, or just any type of art, I guess. Like, do you have anything like that, I guess?
Well, I've had loved ones who died, and obviously I've like read books. I didn't encounter some of the books we're talking about today, but like The Bridge to Therapithia, I read that book. That was really powerful for me. I think the fact that I was more of a young adult at that time, so that was more like in my reading range, sort of. But yeah, there's honestly so many books, so many ways to process grief, and yeah.
Seems like this tradition and the ceremony that it describes, the creation of this offering, ofrenda, this home altar, is meant to be therapeutic. And so the book in and of itself is a form of therapy. Have you ever used, Keertana, have you ever used a book for therapy, for some sort of healing journey?
I don't think on purpose I had. At the time, I probably didn't think of it like that. But now looking back, I probably have. Like sometimes I can see myself in the characters of some of the books that I read, and I can feel how their pain is just like overwhelming. And I think I'm not the only one. Lots of readers can like feel, and that's why books and writing is so powerful. And it's just I don't know. It can be just so relatable. And I think the fact that you're not alone, it makes you feel not alone. That's the part that's so therapeutic.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that. But also like in remembering, there's a big emphasis on like going through grief like with the family and like with the unit. And a lot of the illustrations, like the main character's family is right behind them. I think like the last scene where they're all in front of the ofrenda and it's like the entire family, I guess including the like passed on pets that are like coming out of the picture frames. It's just like such a beautiful scene.
Yeah, and I think it's like depicted like I've learned about Dia de los Muertos and like the celebration, and I've had friends who like do this with their family every year, but I've never like personally done it. But I can see how therapeutic that can be. Putting pictures, you just remember how every single person on the altar on that veranda, um, how much they mean to you, how much they loved you, and like how important they were in your life. And like there was like this one line in the book that goes, "This is how we thank you for your fierce protection and your warmth on cold nights." And I guess that's more of a dog attribute, your warmth on cold nights. But like that is how we thank you. If we didn't get the chance like to say it every day, I guess like they're always with you, maybe they're watching over you. So I guess it shows your appreciation. And I think it goes saying that like the dog, there's like a part in the book where the dog comes back and it's like there's like a sign that says welcome and everything. It's like you're always welcome in our home.
in spite of the fact that it's a picture storybook, and one would assume that it's intended for a very young audience, it really has appeal across the generations. I can see adults getting a lot out of it. I certainly did. And as young people, you yourselves, certainly older than the target area for a picture storybook, but it's a powerful one, and one that's maybe written for an entire family, for all of us.
Yeah, I think picture books are like usually intended for younger audiences, but I don't think this one is that way. I mean, grief is like you see it at all ages, all all people experience it at some point in their life because it is like a part of life. Death is a part of life. And I guess this is one way to heal. And sometimes like less words is better, like the less the better at some point. Like I know they say the more the better, but like they have so many pictures and they have like the words have a lot of meaning there, not like filler words or anything. That's why I think like how Tay said that the authors really complement each other
Yeah.
in this way. Like they none like the words aren't overpowering the illustrations and the illustrations aren't overpowering the words. And both of them have like equal meaning.
I agree with that. I also just want to say that obviously, like, it's this book has like applications to everyone because like the authors who are adults used it to process their own grief. So I think like yeah, it makes sense that anyone could look at it and be like use it to help heal themselves. For sure.
Yeah.
Do you have any parting thoughts about your experience before and after having read this? And does it remind you of anything that you may have experienced? Any other media, TV show, movie, other books, or is this stand unique among the media you've been exposed to in your lives?
To me, this is unique as its like format as like a picture book. But as I mentioned before, there are other books like The Bridge to Terabithia. Obviously, so many more that I haven't read and I probably should read. But yeah, I guess it is unique in the sense, and I've never seen it culturally represented in this way. So yeah, that's what made it unique to me.
I agree with that. I guess for me, like before reading this book, I guess I kind of feel guilty about this, but I lost Piper so long ago that I had kind of forgotten about her. So reading this book helped me rekindle my memories and I guess bring Piper back to life, I feel. I think, I mean, yes, this book is very unique. I love the way that like it's a poem with beautiful illustrations like going along each like stanza. I guess the only thing, like I said earlier, that I can think is like it's kind of the same niche as Coco, the Pixar movie. They're both like great representations of Dia de los Muertos and the overall American culture, I guess.
And I think to tie it all back together, it's really about memories and how they affect your life. And that's why the book is called Remembering, because like that is what it is about. That's
It
like the
made me
perfect title. It's a perfect title for the book.
Remembering the past helps us go forward into the future. Thank you so much, Keertana, and thank you, Tay, for sharing your thoughts with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Arizona Center for the Book's Southwest Book Chats. These conversations may have inspired you to explore the beauty of Arizona, cultivate beauty in your own backyard, or seek diverse Arizona stories. Our state has a rich literary heritage that can be explored through your local library's online and in-person services. This project is supported by the Arizona State Library, Archives and Public Records, a division of the Arizona Secretary of State, with federal funds from the Institute of Museum and Library Services.